Hey guys, Ben here and welcome back to another video on Superman Lois. Today we're going to be talking about the potential main villain of season 4 and lots more. So if you do go on to enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos later this year. Okay, so we got a big topic to talk about in regards to a potential villain in season 4, could be the main villain, and also we have a Q&A section of this video because you guys have been sending in questions to do with Superman Lois season 4 that you want me to answer. So we're going to get into all of that and a lot more in today's video, so you're going to want to stick around for this. So first things first, let's get into who could be the main villain in season 4 of Superman Lois. So obviously we know we're starting with Death of Superman. That is a very significant storyline in the comics. They're obviously going to do their Superman Lois take on it. It's not going to be exactly the same as the comics or the animated film that some of you guys may have seen recently. Also at Comic-Con they confirmed that they are doing a version of the Reign of the Superman. That is the comic book arc that follows the Death of Superman. Also it was an animated film as well. And so what happens in the Reign of the Superman is there are 4 main Supermen, right? And that's obviously what the title refers to. We have the Eradicator. Don't know if he's going to show up. That is, of course, Tal-Rho from Superman Lois. But you also have a version of Superboy as well as a version of Steel. And who do we already have in the show? We have Steel. We have a version of Superboy. Obviously, Jordan's not yet classified as Superboy, but he pretty much is at this point. And he's going to be developing towards becoming a fully fledged Superboy this season. And so what are we missing? Well, we're missing the main villain in the Reign of the Superman, and the main villain is, of course, Cyborg Superman. So we got to talk about Cyborg Superman because normally in the comics he is the Hank Henshaw version of Cyborg Superman, and obviously we've seen Hank Henshaw on Supergirl. It turned out he wasn't actually Hank Henshaw, he was John Jones, but we did see the real Hank Henshaw return and he became Cyborg Superman on Supergirl in the Arrowverse. And so they wouldn't be bothered about that. They would go for it if they want to go for it. And just giving you guys a little bit of context about Hank Henshaw in the comics, in the Death of Superman we see astronaut Hank Henshaw, who is on a rocket with his wife and other crew members in a space shuttle, and their craft is hit by an asteroid, which was later revealed to actually be Doomsday hitting the space shuttle. And basically Hank, while going down, assures everyone that Superman will save them, but obviously at this point Superman is unable to save them in the Death of Superman, and so he blames him for everything that happened. However, first things first, Hank actually dies and he is revived by some apocalypse tech and gets a mother box implanted into him, and that's how he becomes Cyborg Superman. And so he has that pure hatred for Superman, for letting his wife die, for not coming to save him. Obviously the circumstances don't matter to him because he wants revenge, and now that he is back alive and he's seen the devastation that's been caused with the return of Superman, he's obviously going to be going after Superman himself. So the question is, will they do this in Superman Lois? The showrunners, Tyler, Bitsy, have all been teasing at Comic-Con that they are going to do their own version of the Reign of the Superman story arc. However, they haven't specified anything. But I do think it would be really cool to include Cyborg Superman if you're doing this comic book storyline, and just have him be the villain until Superman returns and have them have a fight, and then you move on to Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor is the main villain for the rest of the season. That's fine. Now obviously they would need to find a way to bring Cyborg Superman into the show. Obviously they could do a similar thing to the comics in terms of the asteroid, them being in the shuttle, and somehow Hank being turned into Cyborg Superman. They could do that, although it is a little far-fetched for a show like Superman Lois. It's pretty grounded compared to the comics and compared to the animated films. So I'm not entirely sure, but I really want to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think Cyborg Superman's coming this season? I would be all in for it, but I'm not sure how likely it is. So let's move on to the Q&A portion of this video. We have a first question from Maya Dean on YouTube who asks, theories of how Superman Lois season 4 will go down. So Obviously, we know how it's going to start. Not going to repeat that. We've talked about that in today's video, and we've talked about it many times. And we have had some confirmations. There's going to be plenty of flashbacks this season. Going to see Jimmy Olsen going to go back to the Daily Planet. Also, they confirmed multiple cameos. Talked about that in yesterday's video. That's going to be happening throughout the entire season. And then in terms of the bigger story, clearly is going to be fully focused on Lex trying to get revenge on Lois, and then also Superman, because he thinks he's killed Superman. And with the return of Superman after the first couple of episodes, you're definitely going to see Superman try and get revenge and go after Lex. Obviously he's not going to kill him or something, but he is going to definitely go at him for what he has done by creating Doomsday. And so that's how Superman Lois is going to start, and it's going to go into that Lex story. You're going to have potentially Amanda McCoy coming in, who is a big character in the comics, and she could potentially reveal Superman's identity. That could be a big sticking point this season. And how are things going to end off this season? Well, I think Lex is going to be defeated, put in prison, but this time properly. Lois is going to find actual evidence on him and put him away for good. And I believe you're going to have like all the storylines with the specific characters who have been a major part of the show. They're all going to be tied up nicely. However, I do think there will be 1 or 2 deaths this season. Obviously, Superman will be the first, and potentially General Lane could be the other. As far as I know, I don't think the actor for General Lane, Dylan Walsh, was on set. And also, we've seen them wearing funeral suits at least twice in the behind the scenes that were released throughout filming. So that's how I think Superman Lois is going to go down. I think it's going to end on a positive note rather than a negative note like, say, Arrow ended. But let's move on to the next question. Stray Bray says, is there any chance we will get a season 5 or more? And he spams a load of question marks and exclamation marks. So as much as that would be amazing, and they were definitely planning on going for more than 4 seasons, that was doubled down on at Comic-Con by the showrunners. They definitely plan to go like 7, 8 seasons or something like that. Maybe 7 is a good bet. However, that's not going to happen because the CW decided to end the show. They made an agreement with the showrunners, plus also Warner Brothers were potentially involved. That was the talk a while ago because they don't want to have multiple versions of Superman on air at the same time. Obviously, we got Superman, the film, coming out next summer, so potentially that's one of the reasons why they wanted Superman Lois to end early, despite the showrunners wanting to continue it. Obviously, they didn't win their battle. I don't know how hard they fought, but it would have been nice to see it go on longer. But let's move on to the next question. This comes from Ambrose Rao on YouTube, who asks, Grant Gustin to cameo on Superman Lois. Also heard of Tom Cavanagh. So we don't really need to go into the Tom Cavanagh side of things. We talked about his appearance in this season in yesterday's video. Go check that out. It's up on the channel. In regards to Grant Gustin cameoing, yes, we know there is going to be multiple cameos throughout the entire season. Also in the series finale, we're going to have 2 cameos, but they haven't specified if they're Arrowverse cameos or strictly Superman Lois cameos, or if they're characters that are from Superman in the comics, like Jimmy Olsen, who are going to show up. I guess you could count that as a cameo, even though it's not someone that's shown up previously on the show before. So likelihood of Grant Gustin showing up, I guess if you're comparing to the other Arrowverse heroes, he would be a little bit more likely than someone like, say, Stephen Amell, only because Grant is such a big fan of Superman. We know that, and also he loves the Arrowverse and he was always super involved. I think he would come back if he was given the opportunity. Obviously, he was busy, so that kind of brings down the likelihood of him actually showing up. Also, we haven't heard of any of these cameos, like they were clearly filmed in secret, so it could actually be anyone. It could even be Grant, but we'll have to wait and see. Okay, so let's move on to the final question that you guys have sent in. How much of Superman do you think we'll see in season 4? So, Superman's gonna die. He's gonna be gone for at least a while. I presume a while would be at least 2 full episodes, potentially returning in a 3rd episode. That would be my guess, because you don't want to go too long without your main character. Obviously, Lois is the co-lead as well, so that's very important that she's around. and we will have flashbacks, but flashbacks can only take you so far. We've experienced this in the Arrowverse before with Supergirl when Melissa was on Broadway. She was basically not available to shoot, and the stunt double did all the work for her, and Melissa did some close-ups when she returned. However, you couldn't see her face at all in those episodes. She was wearing like a space suit kind of thing, and you couldn't see inside basically. So it wasn't her, and it was pretty clear that she wasn't there on the day, and that didn't go down well with fans. I don't think fans like that at all. It is very bad to go a couple of episodes without one of your main leads, and so I believe that Superman will be back in episode 3. It could be potentially the end of episode 3, but maybe even the start of that episode. And I think you're going to see a decent amount of Superman throughout the season when he returns. Again, the big question right now is when he returns, will he have a black suit or not? That is one of the big questions that lots of you guys have. But that pretty much does it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment, and also subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos. You can click on the top right corner of the screen to watch my latest video, and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.